Dane Brugler, and we might be getting ready to have some arguments here. Dane Brugler was asked about the quarterback position. Now, Lyman and I had a knockdown drag-out yesterday at around 8:20. If you want to go back and listen to that, 923thefan.com. Over one name. I don't believe it's included in this clip, but here's Dane on the draft in that position talking about QB.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can put in Sharpie Mendoza. He's going to be that number one overall pick. The only question is, do the Raiders love him, or would they be open to trade and doing business? And I highly doubt it. So I think that's a fair assumption. Fernando Mendoza going to Vegas at the number one pick, and then I think there is some debate about who's that next quarterback. I think most would say Ty Simpson from Alabama. Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, I think, is kind of the forgotten guy because the season went just completely sideways for LSU this year. But he's going to be down there in Mobile at Senior Bowl, and I think he's going to impress some people. And so I think Nussmeier on day two, definitely a name to keep an eye on. Trinidad Chambliss from Ole Miss, we're kind of waiting and seeing what his future holds. He sued the NCAA basically saying, I deserve that extra year of eligibility. I think he's going to get it, but we know that's his priority. He wants to go back to Ole Miss for one more year. But if for whatever reason, if he is pushed into this draft class, that becomes pretty interesting because what he did down the stretch for the Rebels and in the playoffs especially, beating Georgia, almost beating Miami, just a really impressive player who's not very big. He's not going to wow you with size, but the arm talent's impressive. The movements are impressive. There's a lot to like about Chambliss, and it would also help him in this class that it's just not a deep quarterback group. And so Chambliss would definitely have a shot at quarterback 2, quarterback 3.
Not a lot of fun there outside of Fernando Mendoza. So it's a 1 QB draft. And, people have argued about whether or not they think Mendoza is going to be really good. Jeremy Fowler, ESPN, he had himself a poll done with, and there were other people as well, who they went with NFL execs, predictions of the 2026 season. One of them was that Malik Willis will end up with the Dolphins or Browns. A name that you and I'd rather argue about Malik Willis and Garrett Nussmeier. Boy, we've come a long way in 1 year, haven't we? I guess I'd rather argue about Malik than Garrett Nussmeier, but it says if Daniel Jones returns to the Indianapolis Colts, as many expect, Willis emerges as a possible top free agent at the position. Willis made some coin with his performance in relief of Jordan Love in the Green Bay game and showing dual threat ability that a new offensive mind could mold. Quote, I just don't think the Browns go into the season with Shedeur Sanders as their top option, an NFC personnel man said. And getting the right quarterback in the draft isn't a guarantee based on where they pick. They obviously have picks number 6 and 24. No regime will know Willis' strengths better than Miami, which just hired a brain trust of GM Eric Sullivan, or John Eric Sullivan, and head coach Jeff Hafley from Green Bay. The Packers valued Willis' development, and Miami could bear the fruits of that labor. Are you willing to get into a bidding war over the services of Malik Willis? Let's take the argument one step further.
A bidding war. No, I'm not necessarily willing to engage in a bidding war, but the Malik Willis, he is such an interesting, I got to call him a prospect. He's like a prospect because he's only started 6 games in the NFL. He was dreadful. I mean, so bad.
And I didn't even use that. I didn't use the Tennessee. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't use the Tennessee even against him.
Well, he was always a developmental guy, much like what apparently Kevin Stefanski thought about Shedeur Sanders, that he wanted to redshirt him. I mean, this was a candidate that should have been redshirted. He goes to Green Bay. He apparently, by all accounts, has been learning, developing over time, and then he was thrust into 2 high-leverage situations this year. One of them on national television. Actually, both were on national television. One was at Soldier Field in bitterly cold weather, and he went toe-to-toe with Caleb Williams. And then the other was Baltimore in a game both teams absolutely needed to win, and he had a career game. So there's no doubt, like, you want to talk about recency bias. Like, if you go look at the highlights of him against Baltimore, you're like, oh, this is not only a starter. This guy could be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Well, of course, it doesn't work like that. Bailey Zappi had a game against the Browns where he looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Well, you take a guy based on what he can do for you, not what he did years and years and years ago. That's why I'm not getting Aaron Rodgers because of what he did with the Packers. You got to take what they recently did. I don't want to go and yell after. I didn't use it once. I know you and I were almost at odds and fighting each other. I'm not going to use Tennessee against Malik Willis. I think that the pre-draft stuff was nuts. Not a lot of it was any of his fault whatsoever, I think. And then he got put into a position, justifiably he'd rather not be in. And I'll be open-minded. See, this is my issue. This is just the truth. We have to cipher through this and find the truth. Quote, I just don't think the Browns go into the season with Shedeur Sanders as their top option, an NFC personnel man said. This is still the belief of inside NFL people. He ain't good enough. Now, that's going to bother a lot of listeners. And Lima, you bring out your charts. I know, you're Mr. Charts now. God, there's one trend in 2026 that needs to go away. It's that. You could bring out your charts. This is people in the NFL who still don't think highly of them. And they don't believe that the Browns are going to do it. My issue is this. It's not about being part of a quote-unquote cult with me. It's about seeing something that maybe I have a higher ceiling on and not making this position worse. Guys, I've become very protectionist about this. I don't necessarily, there's no necessarily about it. I don't trust Andrew Berry with the quarterback position. I struggle to trust him with a lot of the draft picks. Now, he had a good draft this last year. I'm hoping, obviously, praying that he can have a good draft here in 2026. But there's a lot about the QB spot I can't really trust him with. And I don't want to keep trying to desperately dig us out of a terrible position with this other contract that we have at the quarterback spot that we will pay on. And we have been paying on because we only just got one of our first-round draft picks back. So this is what I'm fighting. You and I got in a big fight at Malik Willis. I regret it because I'm going, well, it's just money. It's just money. Who cares? My thing is I don't want them to make too big of an investment on somebody and then, for some odd reason, not see the forest for the trees in the 2027 class or even the 2028 class. Because the dearth of quarterbacks can't last forever, guys. So that's what I'm fighting. So if it means Shedeur Sanders starting the year, at least I'm going to have somebody fun and we can argue about. At least I have somebody I'm interested in. I have very little interest at all in the other two guys. I have interest in Shedeur Sanders, but it's not an absolute faith that it's not a faith that he's going to be our franchise guy. But I just find myself more willing to give him a chance than any of the other two guys and a lot of the other names that we say because I'm afraid it's too much of an investment and that it's going to waste even more of our time.
Well, then I saw somebody yesterday reached out to me and they're like, you know who Malik Willis's agent is, right? And I didn't. I looked it up and I'm like, oh, it's the same representation of Deshaun Watson. I'm like, so what does that mean? He's like, oh, he's not. That's not going to happen here. And I'm like, wait a second. So Deshaun Watson's going to prevent us from getting other quarterbacks that you might want? Like, that made no sense to me. That Deshaun Watson's already ruined so much of the Cleveland Browns and all of our lives for the last 3 years.
Well, what if you were
just going to continue to allow it to?
What if you were just offering $10 million more than the Miami Dolphins were for Malik Willis? He's just going to turn that down?
Yeah. What would that be?
Like if it's $1 million or $2, I could understand where he goes, you know what, I might be in a better situation in Miami. I'm going to take it. Now, I would fight it on it, but fine, whatever, you make your decision. But if the Browns were to come in at $50 million and the Dolphins were as most willing to be at $40 million, you're going to take the $50 million.
Yeah. Now, again, Sam Monson came on yesterday, and we talked about, the easiest thing to do would just be to run back this quarterback room. I wonder how the fan base would feel about that. That exact same quarterback room last year that the season was over, 5 weeks into the season, Joe Flacco was in there as well. Kenny Pickett, was gone. But you're willing to just do that again? Like, do you want to have a real football season or not?
Guys,
because I got to tell you, most likely that would turn into another calamitous football season. How old is Grant Udinski again?
That's why I think that's why they're considering 30-year-olds. I think we're getting ready to not have a real regular football season. Guys, we have to face this at some point. You have to face the truth at some point. The roster is not good. On offense, it's not good, I should say. And by the time they get the offense fixed, we're going to really have to start paying attention to the defense. And defense doesn't always carry year to year. So we have to focus on this, you guys. And I'm trying to make the right investment. I'm trying, because I think we're on two separate pages. I think us and the Cleveland Browns are. I think they are trying to find a soft landing on this terrible deal that they made back in 2022. They're trying to find some way out of it that's not going to be a complete disaster, hard set rebuild. I don't know how you avoid it. Remember, why did you trade for that other pick this year because you thought 2026 was going to be a good quarterback draft class. There's one QB worth taking in the first round. Or you could force it with Ty Simpson, and then we stretch that out over the next 3 years. And pray that some of the foibles don't work out and then he ends up being a good quarterback. And maybe we would have a good rookie season. Maybe we would. Probably we won't, though, and we'll have ourselves another fight about it. Like, we are consistently trying to avoid this. I told you about this in the regular season, Anthony, is that I was being desperate because I was trying to pull the nose up on an issue that can't be pulled up. I kept trying to desperately fix something that I wasn't responsible for. The Deshaun Watson trade. I didn't want to make that trade. And honestly, you're not responsible either. You're not the one who gave the green light on it, for crying out loud. But I kept trying to desperately fix something that I didn't have a problem with, or I didn't create a problem with in the first place. And so if I didn't create that problem, why should I be on the hook for it? If I'm a Browns fan, and I am, I say, well, that's your guys' problem. That's not my problem. I want to do what's right by the franchise and have some sustained success. That's why I got into an argument with you about Malik Willis, because I go, I just don't want to spin our tires on another quarterback that just might not be worth it overall. If you feel that strongly about Malik Willis, fine. And if you guys, even if you feel that strongly about Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel, I've got a couple of those people tweeting in about.
No, you didn't.
I swear to God, I'm getting cussed out by one guy over Dylan Gabriel. All it takes is one. And so if you feel that strongly about him, fine, because I think it's as open as it can. But that's a telling quote when I read, quote, I just don't think the Browns go into the season with Shedeur Sanders as their top option. An NFC personnel man said that's somebody in the league that also still doesn't think highly of the quarterback that we have spent hours arguing over and put a lot of hope in. Let me try to get to a call real quick here. Let me get to Paul in Canton. Hello.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing okay, Paul. Go ahead.
It's not that I don't like Malik Willis, but because I actually do. But
right.
Green Bay had the 6th-rated offensive line. They had mid-receivers. We were dead last in offensive line, dead last in wide receivers. And our running back, Prince Jenkins, got hit behind the line more than any running back. You want to bring Malik Willis here, $50 million with Watson still on the books. I think I'd rather take my resources and put them towards our last place offensive line, our last place wide receivers, hell, our last place special teams. You know, we take stats. Look, stats could tell you Shedeur Sanders was bad. There's other stats that show you with your eyes that, hey, man, the guy came in with, no first-team reps, won 3 games out of 7. The locker room loves him, especially Myles Garrett. You just start the guy, and guess what? If he's bad, then you got another crop. At least you address those things, because if you put any quarterback, I think, behind in that situation, because statistically, he also had the worst quarterback situation in the league.
Yeah.
So you put him behind there, and you put what quarterback do you think? Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson? We don't have those coming up, and they didn't even have that. Those bad situations.
And I don't think, but I really don't think that any, and Paul, let me tell you, and thank you very much for the call, because we got to get to the 2-second trivia coming up at 7:45. I don't even think my plan's a really great one, because I could say, well, Ken, why am I sitting there waiting for 2027 and 2028? We all thought 2026 was going to be a good class. It's not a good class. Do we have any guarantee that 2027 is going to be a good class? So we're going to keep waiting for what? What are we waiting for? It's the same argument you made against me yesterday. But if they're not going to go into it, you might as well. It's almost where if you're not going to go into the season with these 3 guys, if you, quote, just can't see the Browns going into the season with Shedeur as their top option, then maybe you need to just go for the gusto. I'm terrified. So what? I'll get over it. I don't think Malik Willis, though, is going for the gusto. Maybe there's something else out there that you can try to look after. Or, yeah, you're just going to have to go into this season, and just like a lot of other seasons, there's not going to be a lot of expectation for you. I think Browns fans are kind of used to it by now. But Donnie led us to a great question. Lima, you go ahead, you ask. Yeah. Because it's a hell of a question.
Yeah, I mean, he's a free agent. It's just money. It's been rumored that he could get $25 million a year for the next 2 years. He had that incredible Baltimore game. I tweeted out the highlights. I mean, he looks unbelievable. It's one game, but it was a big one, and it was cold weathered, and it was against the Baltimore Ravens, who needed that game. And he shined. He had over 375 total yards, I think, because the guy, he's built like a running back. And I mean, he's got a lot of running in him. He can do all that stuff. And he's come along a little bit, at least what we've seen, he's come along as a passer. Would you rather Malik Willis be the Browns quarterback next year, or would you rather face him twice a year?
Do I dare let the Steelers' interest in Malik Willis change my opinion? What's that say about how crazy this football team has made me? If I'm willing to get into a knockdown drag out with you, which, by the way, I don't think I was actually against Malik Willis all the way. I think I was just mad.
No, you didn't say. You just talked about level of desperation.
Yes, you had mentioned something else, by the way, that was outrageous that I might want to bring up at another time, but it's definitely going to bog down this conversation about where Shedeur played in terms of other Browns quarterbacks. But Malik Willis, do I hear about the Steelers and all of a sudden want him? I don't know. I've had worse plans, haven't I? Would I rather him play for my team and play? This is where it is. If it doesn't cost me draft picks and it just costs me money, fine. You know what? You win. I'll take Malik Willis. Fine. It's not a competition anymore. I don't know what you do with Shedeur. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this potato salad. I don't know what you do with Shedeur. I don't know then. Maybe Shedeur stays and Dylan Gabriel goes. I don't know. He's a third-round pick. Quarterbacks are supposed to be currency. I don't know what I'm going to get out of the guy. I don't know what the hell to do anymore. This sucks. This whole thing sucks. I mean, sitting here going over Malik Willis. I'm just in a back alley of football right now, looking for scraps.
And without a doubt, like this is one of the rare situations. People compared it to Matt Flynn, right? Years ago, which obviously that did not work out as well. It's tough when a guy is a project and is playing behind an absolute franchise quarterback like he was in. And it's tough to evaluate that. Well, how do you evaluate that? Who could even do that?
Well, listen, if
he's
it just
played
costs,
so little,
I'm coming around for it because if it just costs money, what's money? Picks are different. I need picks. My offense is terrible. I need picks. I gotta. Yeah, we can start talking about the guy drafted him. Fine, I don't care. Whatever. I do care, but we don't have time for it right now. I need all the picks I can get. I have to replace these guys on offense. All these other things I need to do. If it just costs me money, he's a better scenario than the other ones that are going to cost me picks. I mean, first off, you got Mac Jones who plays for the San Francisco 49ers. I like Mac Jones. Where's he at? He's at San Francisco.
Yeah.
Who's his coach? That guy ain't going to work with us. He's not going to work with us, or he's going to make it so prohibitive on picks that it's going to be hard to say yes to that. And then I got to turn around because I probably have given up so many picks. I got to pay him. So that means he's my quarterback for the next umpteen years. Is he that much of an investment over everything I've already been through? Maybe some people feel very passionately about that, but again, I need the picks to be able to help him out. So now I'm just looking at free quarterbacks. Free meaning I don't care about the money. I only care about the picks. Free quarterback is Malik Willis. If the Steelers are that interested in Malik Willis, yeah, it makes me more interested in Malik Willis because the Steelers have been a better franchise than us for so long. So, yeah, it does change my opinion a little bit more. I hate to be that.
Although Pittsburgh hasn't exactly
shallow, but
they also went after Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, and they've started, Mitch Trubisky. So they haven't exactly knocked the quarterback position out of the park.
But somehow they've found a way to be over 500. Can I find a way to be over 500 with not some great quarterbacks?
It's very interesting because I feel like we've had better defensive personnel the last few years.
Yes, we have. We have had better defensive personnel. We've had one of the better defenses in the NFL. Top 4 defense 2 out of the last 3 years.
But they've had Tomlin. And they don't have him anymore.
Oh, my God. He's the core, but I tell you, if you give him $50 million over 2 years, there's no competition. He's just your starter. If they use the word competition, you think I've had blood vessels burst in my eyes before. You wait until they use the term competition. That'll be a rich one because there's no competition. That would just be a flat out farce. You give him $50 million for 2 years to have a competition? No, he's your guy going in. Even if you want to call it a competition, he's your leader in the clubhouse. So all the fights we've had about Shedeur are for naught. Any of the fights we've had about Dylan Gabriel, which we haven't had many fights about Dylan Gabriel, but I mean, whatever. Those are for naught. Deshaun can have more of his workout videos and whatever Deshaun does so he can get out of the contract. That's fine. Fine, sign me up for Malik Willis. 216-474-0092. Go Browns. Go Browns. There's no way you're not fighting me on anything. There we go.
Look, no matter what, any of the guys that we are discussing, whether it's coach or quarterback,
need this music.
If you're looking for a guarantee, that's just not available. What guaranteed quarterback and or coach is there right now for the Browns given their situation? No matter what you do, including just running it back with your quarterback room, all of it is equally up in the air and risky. All of it.
Just listen to Michael. Listen to Michael. Don't listen to Anthony.
Here we go again. I said, here we go again. It's Malik Willis on 1st and 10. So get on your feet. This song can talk me into anything. Divorce your wife. Leave your family high and dry. Can't hit the road. Talk me into anything, this song.
Got a new fridge.
Got a new fridge? Yeah, that's right. New fridge came today. Got a new fridge. Get a new fridge. Yeah, you can do that. You knock on the window and it shows you what's inside.
As opposed to having to go through the grueling, painstaking effort of curling your fingers around the handle and then having to put force behind
it. Helps save the fridge hinges, which is a big deal.
This is all,
good luck finding a repairman who's going to be able to come out when you need him to fix it.
People make your jokes. I think there's some people with the Milwaukee Police Department who wish that Jeffrey Dahmer had a see-through fridge, okay? All right, make your jokes.
Is that a head of lettuce? Do I have to squint?
Oh, that's a head of David.